I stared at the message, my thumb frozen above the screen. "You're not welcome here anymore." Just like that. No explanation, no emotion. After 10 years of serving my country, that was all my father had to say. My chest felt heavy, like I couldn't breathe, but I refused to let myself cry. I typed one word, "fine," and hit send. That was it. I didn't beg. I didn't ask why. I turned off my phone, sat on my bunk, and stared at the wall. All the memories, the hopes I had for this Christmas, gone in a single sentence. Before we dive into this emotional story of betrayal, strength, and redemption, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss powerful stories like this one. Leave a comment if you've ever felt unseen by your family. Your voice matters here. And give this video a like to support stories that deserve to be heard. Now, let's begin. I wasn't supposed to be the strong one. Not in my father's eyes. Growing up, it was clear who the favorite was. Lucas, 2 years younger than me, could do no wrong. He crashed Mom's car at 16 and still got a new one for his birthday. I got a B in math once, and my dad grounded me for a month. "Too soft," he used to say, shaking his head when I cried during movies or hugged Mom too tight after school. "You're not built for the real world, Amelia. You'll break the minute it gets tough." So I stopped crying, I stopped hugging, I stopped trying. But inside I was screaming. When I was 17, I applied to the Army's intelligence program. I didn't tell anyone, not Mom, not Lucas, and definitely not Dad. I got the letter 2 months later. Full acceptance. I was shaking when I held it in my hands. It felt like freedom printed on paper. I came downstairs and handed the letter to my dad, thinking maybe this was the moment he'd see me. Finally see me. He read it, then barked a laugh. "The Army? You? Don't make me laugh. You wouldn't last a day." He tossed the paper on the counter like it was a joke menu at a diner. Mom stood there silently. I remember her eyes shifting between us like she wanted to say something but never did. Lucas said, "Cool, I guess," and went back to his game. I left 2 months later with a duffel bag and a heart full of determination. My father didn't drive me to the station. He said, "This is your choice. Don't expect me to bail you out when you quit." But I didn't quit. Boot camp was brutal. I was the smallest in my unit, the quietest. But I was also the sharpest. I didn't just survive, I stood out. I got promoted early. I learned to crack codes faster than anyone else in my training group. At my graduation, they called my name with a medal pinned to my chest. Everyone had someone in the crowd. Moms waving, dads with phones up, siblings cheering. I scanned the sea of faces. No one was there for me. That night, I stared at my phone, willing it to light up. Just a good job or proud of you. Even a thumbs-up emoji. Nothing. No call, no text, no pride. But it was fine. I told myself that I didn't need them. Not when I had a mission, not when I had a team. The Army became my family. My commanders praised me. My team trusted me. I earned a reputation for being reliable, calm under pressure, and brutally efficient. But no matter how far I went, how many missions I completed, or how many medals I stacked, there was always this little crack inside me. The space where a father's approval was supposed to live. I thought maybe this year after everything would be different. I thought maybe 6 years away. 6 years of earning honor, serving my country, risking my life, would soften him. Maybe he'd say, "Come home, Mia, let's start over." So I reached out. I broke the silence. I took the first step. And his response? "You're not welcome here anymore." He didn't even use my name. That sentence snapped me right back to the girl he said would never survive. But I had survived. I had thrived. And still, to him, I was nothing. It wasn't just rejection. It was erasure. Everything I had done, everything I had become, none of it mattered to him. He never came to my ceremonies, never bragged about me to his friends, never hung a photo of me in uniform on the living room wall. But Lucas? He dropped out of college twice and still got Sunday dinners and praise for finding himself. I used to think time would change things. That distance would make hearts softer. That maybe one day he'd look at me and see a daughter to be proud of. But now I know. That one message proved what I'd tried so hard not to believe. To him, I was still that soft little girl who didn't belong. And nothing, not even 10 years of service, would ever be enough. I didn't answer the next message, or the one after that. After I replied, "Fine," I turned off my phone and shoved it in my drawer. I buried myself in routine, early wake-ups, long runs, mechanical drills. I did everything I could to keep my mind from drifting toward that text, that house, that family. But the silence was heavy, heavier than I expected. Sergeant Lila Reyes, my roommate, picked up on it fast. She always did. We'd shared quarters on and off for over 2 years now, and Lila had a way of reading people like maps. "You good?" she asked the next morning as I polished my boots, harder than necessary. I shrugged. "Fine." That "fine" sounds like code for everything's burning, but I don't want to talk about it. I didn't answer. She sat beside me, arms crossed, watching me scrub the already clean leather. "You were looking forward to Christmas," she said gently. "You even booked leave. What happened?" I stopped moving. My hand just hovered over the boot. "Changed my mind." "Because of your dad?" I looked up slowly. Her tone wasn't nosy, just careful. She already knew. She'd seen the way my face changed when I checked my phone that night. Lila wasn't the kind to push, but she didn't let things fester either. I stood up and headed toward my bunk. "Just want to stay here, that's all." She didn't argue. Instead, she offered something unexpected. "My mom's making tamales. Big family thing, loud, messy. I'll even let you have the last cinnamon bun if you come." I almost laughed. Almost. But I shook my head. "Thanks, Lila. Really. But I need the quiet." She didn't push. She just nodded and packed her things, leaving for New Mexico that afternoon. Before she left, she patted my shoulder and said, "Call me if the quiet gets too loud." It did. But I didn't call. Back home, my mother tried to reach me. She called 3 times the first night, twice the next morning. I could imagine her face, torn between her love for me and her fear of standing up to him. I let the calls ring out. Then came a text from Lucas. "You done playing soldier yet? It's Christmas. Come home and quit the drama." I stared at the message. My hands started to tremble, not from sadness, but from fury. Drama? Was that what they thought all these years had been? Deployments, near-death missions, sleeping on concrete in places they couldn't pronounce? All just part of my drama? I blocked his number. On Christmas Eve, the base was nearly deserted. Most soldiers had taken leave. The rec room was quiet. Even the mess hall had closed early. I sat alone on a couch beside the fake tree someone had set up weeks ago. Plastic needles, 3 crooked ornaments. No lights. No presents. No music. Just me. And silence. I had a tin of instant hot chocolate in my hand. It was barely warm. I leaned back and stared at the ceiling, feeling the weight of every single unspoken word between me and my family. All the things I wanted to say. All the things I knew they'd never hear. I remembered Christmas mornings from childhood, opening presents with Lucas, the fireplace crackling, Mom humming carols in the kitchen, Dad smiling in his chair, coffee in hand. Back then, it felt real. It felt warm. But somewhere along the line, I had stopped being part of that picture. And now I couldn't tell if I was the one who walked out, or if they had shut the door long before I left. I sipped my lukewarm cocoa, wishing it would burn, just to feel something sharp again. But even the heat was gone. Midnight passed. No one called. No one came. I crawled into bed, the hum of the ceiling fan the only sound in the room. This was supposed to be the year I finally came home. The year I stopped being the stranger in the family photos. But I wasn't welcome there. And now, I wasn't sure I ever would be again. So I pulled my blanket over my chest, curled into the silence, and let the cold settle in. Not just in the room, but inside me. The sun filtered through the blinds, casting long shadows across the barracks floor as I slowly blinked awake. The base was still quiet. Most people hadn't returned yet from Christmas leave. I reached for my phone out of habit, not expecting much. And then I saw it. 15 missed calls. My heart thumped once, hard. 12 from my mother, 1 from Lucas, and 2 from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't check the texts right away. I tapped into voicemail. The first message was my mom, her voice frantic, breathless. "Mia, please call me, please. Something happened. I didn't know they were going to. Please, just call." The second was shorter, from Lucas, slurred and careless. "Hope you're happy now. Merry freaking Christmas." I ignored that one. Then the unknown number. A calm, professional voice. "Miss Carter, this is Donna Ellison. I'm your family's legal counsel. Please return this call at your earliest convenience. It's regarding your father. It's urgent." I sat up slowly, my chest tight. My hand hovered over the dial button. I didn't want to call back. Whatever it was, I could feel it wasn't good. But I couldn't ignore it either. I tapped the number. It rang twice. "Ellison Law Office. This is Amelia Carter. You left a voicemail?" A brief pause. Then the woman's voice returned, measured and professional. "Yes. Thank you for returning my call. I'd prefer to speak privately if you're in a good place to talk." "I'm listening," I said, voice flat. There was a beat of silence before she began. "There was an incident during Christmas dinner yesterday," she said gently. "Your brother made a comment about your service. It was cruel, from what I was told. Your father, Richard, reacted emotionally. He became very upset. And in the heat of the moment, he and your brother made a decision to adjust the family trust and will." I stayed quiet, barely breathing. Donna continued. "Your name was removed from all documents. As of now, legally speaking, you are no longer a beneficiary of the Carter estate or trust." The words echoed in my mind like gunfire. No longer a beneficiary, no longer family, no longer welcome. "What kind of comment did Lucas make?" I asked finally, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. Donna hesitated. "He accused you of abandoning the family. Said you ran off to play hero and left them to clean up your messes. He called you a ghost soldier. Said you didn't deserve anything from the family since you weren't really part of it." I clenched my jaw, every muscle in my face tight. That was Lucas. Always small, always venomous. And my father? He agreed with him? "I believe your father said," and I quote, "She made her choice when she walked out at 18. That's not my daughter anymore." I closed my eyes. The words didn't shock me. They just stung in a familiar way, like pressing an old bruise. "Can this be reversed?" I asked quietly. Donna sighed. "Technically, yes, but both Richard and Lucas signed the updated documents with full mental capacity. Your mother was not present during the signing and was not consulted. At this moment, unless one of them chooses to amend it again, it is final." I didn't say anything for a long time. Donna finally added, "Your mother has requested to speak with you, but I understand if you're not ready. I'm only here to relay the facts." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Thank you." I ended the call. Then I just sat there, not crying, not angry, just hollow. After everything I'd done, 10 years of service, thousands of miles, missions that haunted my dreams, this was what I got in return. A line through my name, legally erased. I opened the drawer beside my bunk and pulled out an old photo. It was the last family picture we ever took, back when I was 16. I studied each face. Lucas grinning wide, Dad standing tall, Mom smiling softly, and me just barely smiling. Already distant, already disappearing. I slipped the photo back in and closed the drawer. This time, the silence didn't hurt, it felt like closure. The email came in just before noon. Subject: Carter Estate Documents. Revised. I stared at it for a long time before I opened it. My hands hovered over the mouse. My stomach knotted. I already knew what I was going to see. But knowing something doesn't make it hurt less. When I finally clicked it, the PDF opened with a crisp white header. Carter Family Trust. Amendment D. Page after page of legal language followed. Clauses, signatures, notarizations. But I wasn't reading any of that. I scrolled to the page Donna mentioned, beneficiaries. There it was. My name, Amelia R. Carter, once printed neatly beside my brother's. Now crossed out. A thick red digital strike-through. Beneath it, in bold letters, removed from all asset rights and family holdings effective December 25th. Lucas's name stood alone now. Next to it, 100% beneficiary of estate holdings, business shares, and family trust funds. I stared at that page for a long time. My eyes didn't even blink. My fingers gripped the mouse too tight. The house, the retirement fund, the company, the insurance, all of it was his now. And me? Legally speaking, I no longer existed to them. A second email came shortly after. This one from Donna directly. Mia, I've attached the final documents for your review. I want to reiterate, your mother was not aware this decision was being made. She arrived later and tried to intervene, but by then the documents had already been signed and filed. Richard was very firm. His exact words were, Mia made her choice when she walked out 10 years ago. 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I joined the military because I couldn't breathe in that house anymore. Because my father refused to believe in me. Because I needed space to become something more than what he allowed me to be. And now that choice, the one I made to survive, was being used to erase me. I read those words again. Mia made her choice. Yes, I did. But I never thought it would cost me everything. I closed the laptop slowly. The room around me felt colder, smaller. I stared at the wall for what felt like an hour. There were no tears, no explosion of anger. Just this slow, creeping chill crawling into my chest. I picked up my phone and called Donna. She answered right away. Miss Carter? Tell them thank you, I said, voice quiet. There was silence on her end. Mia, you don't have to. It's fine, I said, a little louder. It's done. I'm not going to fight it. Another pause. Your mother is still asking to speak with you. She feels helpless in all of this. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. I know. I need space. Donna's voice was softer now. I understand. I'll let her know. Thank you. I ended the call. That should have been the end of it. That should have been the moment I shut the door, walked away, and moved on. But when I stood up, I felt something twist in my throat. I pressed a fist against my chest, trying to push it down, but it didn't work. My legs went weak and I sat back down on the edge of the bed. My voice cracked as I whispered into the empty room. That's fine. Tell them thank you. But it didn't sound fine. Not even to me. It sounded like something breaking. Something small. Something that had tried so hard to stay strong. For a moment, I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip the printed documents in half, throw them out the window, call my father and ask him how he could do this. How he could erase me like I was a stranger, but I didn't. Instead, I laid back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. And I let the silence do what it always did. Settle in and take over. The call came in late, almost midnight. The base was still, the air outside frozen with winter breath. My phone buzzed quietly on the nightstand. For a moment, I thought about letting it ring out like all the others. But this time, something made me pick it up. Mom. I swiped to answer. Hello? There was silence at first, then a sharp inhale, and suddenly, a voice I hadn't heard in over a year broke through. Mia. It was shaking, soft, full of something between grief and guilt. "Mom," I said flatly. "I didn't know," she whispered, and then the flood came. "I swear to you, I didn't know what they were doing. I came home from my sister's that afternoon, and they had already signed the papers. I tried to stop it. I screamed at them. I told them it wasn't right." She was sobbing now, her words tumbling over each other. "I begged your father to undo it. I told Lucas he was being cruel. But they wouldn't listen. They just kept saying, 'You left, you chose this, you walked away.'" I sat in silence, letting her pour it all out. When she paused, I finally spoke. "Why didn't you say something before, Mom? Before all of this?" The line went quiet again. Then her voice came back, barely a whisper. "Because I was afraid." Afraid. That word hit deeper than I expected. She continued, "You know how he gets when he's angry. He doesn't yell. He just shuts down. I tried to talk to him about you so many times, but he'd change the subject or leave the room. And that last time, he said," her voice cracked, "he said if I kept defending you, I could leave with you." That hung in the air like a fog I couldn't see through. "He said that?" I asked, my voice sharper than I meant. "Yes." I stood up, unable to sit still. My boots echoed across the empty barracks. I was shaking, not just inside, but physically. All this time, I thought she had simply chosen silence, that she stood beside him while I stood alone. But she was being held hostage by the same cold pride that had driven me away. "He would have kicked you out for loving me?" I asked, my voice bitter. "He already did, Mia. A long time ago. I just stayed in the house." I swallowed hard. There were no words for that. No way to make sense of a man who saw loyalty to his own daughter as betrayal. "I'm sorry," she said through more tears. "I should have done more. I should have fought harder. I should have called you myself when he refused to. But I didn't. I was afraid of losing everything." "You lost me anyway," I said, not out of anger, but out of truth. She cried harder at that. "I still want you. I still love you. You're still my daughter. Please just come home. We can fix this." I closed my eyes and pictured the house, the creaky stairs, the hallway where I used to hang my backpack, the couch with the faded floral pattern. I hadn't seen any of it in 6 years. But in my mind, nothing had changed. Not even the cold in the walls. "Mom," I said slowly, "I don't think there's a home for me there anymore." There was silence again. I didn't wait for a reply. I didn't want to hear her cry anymore. I didn't want to say something I'd regret. So I hung up quietly. I stood in the middle of the room, staring at the bunks around me. Every one of them was empty. All the other soldiers had gone home, to warm meals, to open arms, to family. And me? My family chose to erase me with ink and signatures. I was a ghost to them now. I sat on my bunk and wrapped my arms around myself. The room wasn't that cold, but I couldn't stop shaking. "I don't need them," I whispered to no one, but my hands wouldn't stop trembling. 3 days passed. 3 long, numb, echoing days. I didn't return my mother's calls. I didn't open any new emails from Donna. I didn't check the news. I barely left my bunk. Everyone on base had returned from their holiday leave, carrying stories of chaotic family dinners and ugly sweaters. Some were already complaining about their in-laws. Others were still glowing from home-cooked meals and hugs that lasted too long. I smiled politely, nodded at their stories. But inside, I felt like I was watching life happen through a thick pane of glass. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't jealous. I was just empty. That night, while the others slept, I opened my laptop. The glow from the screen filled the room, and with trembling fingers, I logged into an old military forum I used to read during deployment. It was a quiet space, mostly filled with stories from people like me. People who had seen things, felt things, and came home different. There was a thread titled Holiday Ghosts When Home Doesn't Feel Like Home Anymore. Without thinking too much, I clicked reply, and I began to type. My name isn't important, but I served for over 10 years, across 2 continents, through missions I can't talk about and nights that still show up in my dreams. This year, for the first time in 6 Christmases, I decided to go home. I thought maybe time had healed things. Maybe my absence made them realize how much I missed them. But 4 days before I was supposed to fly out, I got a text from my father. It said, "You're not welcome here anymore." That was it. 10 years of medals and silence, erased in one sentence. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just stayed where I was, under a fake tree on an empty base, trying to tell myself it didn't matter. But it did. I found out days later that my name had been removed from the family will and trust. My brother, who has never worked a day in his life, gets everything. My mother cried, said she didn't know. I believe her. But it doesn't change anything. How do you come home when your home never wanted you? I didn't sign it. I didn't include my rank or name. I just hit post and closed my laptop. It felt like tossing a bottled message into the ocean. I didn't expect anyone to find it. But someone did. The next morning, my inbox had 10 messages. By noon, 20. By evening, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. The post had spread, not just in the forum, but across military Reddit threads, veteran Facebook groups, and even Instagram pages run by military spouses. People were sharing it with the hashtag #ArchGhostSoldier. Thousands of comments poured in. My dad said the same thing when I left for the Navy. I cried reading this. It's my story, too. Whoever you are, you matter. We're proud of you. Some messaged me privately, offering support, sharing their own fractured family stories, their own rejection. And then, something I hadn't expected happened. A local journalist from a veteran-focused news outlet messaged me. "We read your post. Would you be willing to share more, even anonymously? Your story is striking a chord." I said no. I hadn't written it for attention. I had written it to let it out. Still, the journalist shared it as is. No edits, no names. Just the raw post and a few lines about how many veterans feel forgotten not just by their country, but by their families. The article went viral. People began to dig, even without names. A few sharp readers recognized phrasing, pieced together breadcrumbs, linked the post to a small family-owned company in Virginia, Carter Outdoor Systems, my father's business. Then the backlash hit. His company's Facebook page was flooded with comments. Angry veterans, disappointed parents, furious civilians. "How dare you treat your daughter like that? Shame on you. You didn't deserve her. Boycotting your business. Disgusting." Within 48 hours, his company's review rating dropped to 1 star. Several longtime clients pulled their contracts. The Carter name, once the pride of my father's universe, was now radioactive. And me? I hadn't even said his name. I just told the truth. I hadn't meant to ruin him. I hadn't meant to break anything. I just wanted peace. I wanted to stop carrying the weight in silence. But now it was too late. Too late to fix it. Too late to take it back. Too late to undo. It had been a quiet week. Not peaceful, just quiet, like the calm that lingers after a storm rips through and leaves nothing standing. I'd stopped checking the forums, stopped reading the articles. I knew the story had gone national. Donna had mentioned it in passing. Veterans across the country were sharing their own stories now. Mine had become something bigger than I ever intended. But none of it changed the feeling in my chest. Not validation. Not revenge. Just emptiness. Then, one morning, my phone rang. Donna again. I almost didn't pick up. But curiosity won. Her voice was steady, but this time it carried something different. Urgency. "Amelia," she began, "your father wants to meet." I let the words hang in the air between us. "No." There was a pause. "I understand. But I need to tell you a few things." I didn't respond. I just listened. "Lucas lost his job," she continued. "His employer didn't want to be associated with the family after everything came out. The company is barely staying afloat. Half their investors pulled out. Their reputation is shattered. I could hear the hesitation in her breath. They're unraveling. Still, I said nothing. Your mother has been trying to reach you, she added. Your father hasn't left the house in days. And today, they finalized another legal document. I sent it to your email. After the call ended, I opened my inbox. There it was. Subject: Reinstatement of Amelia R. Carter to Carter Family Estate and Trust. The document was crisp, newly signed and dated. My name had been restored to the will. Every asset returned. My shares in the business, the house, the trust fund. A reversal of everything they had once torn away. At the bottom, their signatures sat side by side. Richard Carter, Lucas Carter. My name was next, on a blank line waiting for my signature. And yet, I didn't feel relief, just tired. Then another buzz. A text from Mom. He's sorry, Mia. He just didn't know how to fix it. We're falling apart. Please come home. I stared at the screen for a long time. The house, the company, the inheritance. All back in my hands? If I wanted it. But suddenly I didn't. Not anymore. I clicked reply on Donna's email, typed one sentence. I don't want it anymore, and hit send. There's a certain kind of silence that comes after a final decision. It isn't painful, it isn't loud. It just settles in your bones and holds you still. For so long, I thought I wanted their approval, their pride, some kind of proof that I mattered to them. But now I understood something I wish I had realized years ago. Their love had always been conditional. Conditional on obedience, on silence, on being less than who I truly was. Now that they were broken, they remembered me. Now that the world had turned against them, they reached back for the daughter they'd erased. Not because they loved me, because they needed me. But I wasn't the girl who used to beg for space at the table. I wasn't the soldier hoping for a proud nod at graduation. I was a woman who built a life without them. And I didn't need their apology wrapped in a legal form. I folded my laptop shut and looked out the window. A few soldiers were laughing outside, tossing snowballs between patrol trucks. One of them waved at me. I waved back. I wasn't alone. Not anymore. I whispered, more to myself than anyone else. I made it. Even if they never wanted me, I made it. That was enough. No signature needed. What would you do if your own family erased you and then came crawling back? Comment your thoughts below. We read everyone. If this story moved you, smash that like button to support more powerful narratives like this. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because every week we drop real stories that hit hard and stay with you. This isn't just entertainment. It's a reminder that your voice matters. See you in the next one.